Hey everybody, this is Nick Savacci, and this is the Rogue Overland Adventure Rig Show. Today I am here with Tim and Ruby. We are going to be talking about their 2023 Nissan Frontier. So basically we're just going to run down, we're going to talk about your 2023 Nissan Frontier, and it is a super cool build. But before we jump into the build, let's talk about kind of how you guys got into this lifestyle, okay? And then also give me an idea of why you chose a Nissan Frontier, because I can feel your pain. Nissans aren't really like the main platform out there. So I'm excited to hear about why you chose a Nissan.
So I've been off-roading most of my life. In high school, we would go buy junk cars, and just old rear-wheel drive like Dodge Colt was one of our favorite from the late 70s, and we would spend $200-300 on the car, put some heavier springs on it, take it on the forest roads up in Washington,
okay,
and just drive them until they broke, push them off a cliff, go buy another one, and it was our own rally course, so to speak, through the Cascades. So that's kind of my start in off-roading. And
that sounds amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun growing up that way.
Yeah.
I chose the Nissan. I'm not a Toyota guy. I've had 3 Nissan trucks. I love the platform. I like its reliability. It's a very proven platform, and for our intended purpose, I wanted something that would be, kind of turnkey. That's just going to get me out there and bring us home at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
The rig is more of a bug out type adventure rig. So
okay.
I wanted reliability to be the absolute most important thing about the truck.
How about you?
My experience is completely different from his.
Okay.
It started out as I grew up in a small country town, but I didn't get to enjoy the benefits of that. So our first trip out to the mountains is where I fell in love, and then just knew I needed to explore them more.
Okay.
And instead of going the RV route, we went the truck route, and it's just you really get to go explore more of than just driving or even hiking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the truck takes you longer distances, and you can cover more ground and see more.
We wanted to be as remote as possible, not do the mainstream stuff, and
yeah.
to get out in the middle of nowhere, unplug from everything and everyone, and just enjoy nature.
Yeah, and that's a great way to do it. We always, the group here at Rogue Overland, we always say as long as you're getting out, that's good for you for whatever it is that you want to do. But we're much the same way. We want to be able to get out to where a lot of people don't necessarily go to or get to. That Nissan Frontier, I imagine, will get you about anywhere you want to go.
So far, just about anywhere. And being from Texas, there's no public lands, so we're just really enjoying being able to get out and see a trail and say, hey, where does that go? Let's just go.
Yeah.
And we don't have to ask permission or anything like that.
And we've done that many times.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I love it. This is awesome. Okay. All right, good. So now that we have a little bit of a history, now this is a Pro 4X model, correct? Okay, so that's the big thing there. That's going to give you that factory rear locker, right?
Yeah, so
Okay, I love it. So that's just that next level of being able to get you out, but also, like you said, get you back, because that's an important part.
That's the most important part, is getting home.
That's right.
Without paying $10,000.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's start breaking down what you've done to this, because from the factory, they're relatively capable. But that being said, yours is just on a whole nother level. So let's start with the suspension. Kind of tell us what we have going on there with the suspension, wheels, tires.
Yeah. So the factory Bilsteins are great for on road, but I found their limits very fast.
Yeah.
So spent some time talking with Chad Kulig at All Dogs.
Yeah.
And
great guy, by the way.
Told him, yeah, he's a fantastic guy. But I told him my mission, and the weights we were carrying, the terrain that we're on, and the heat. So he suggested the Radflow 2.5s,
nice
remote reservoirs, and to kind of keep things cool and handle the weight. So we went that route and added parabolic leaf springs to handle the weight in the bed.
Nice.
And I did Rhino DX4 wheels. They're a little bit lighter than the OEMs. The OEMs are quite ugly.
Yeah.
say the least.
And you've got you went with that was bronze, right?
Yeah,
Like a bronze color.
Bronze
yeah,
color.
it looks good. I like that.
It really popped with the FDE on the truck.
Yeah.
And I just recently put on Falcon Wild Peaks. We were started out with Kendas.
Oh.
And they were great tires, Kenda Cleaver RTs.
Okay.
We got about 20,000 miles out of them. They were chunking really bad from all the sharp rocks out here.
Yes.
And they were pretty noisy on the highway.
Okay.
But we ended up at Silver State Trails and got a puncture, so I just bought a new set.
Okay.
Instead of replacing one.
Yeah.
And so the Falcon Wild Peak did the 255 80s. So far, I really like them.
Okay.
The RTs, they're quieter than the Kendas, much quieter, considerably quieter. Would you
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
And with the exception of being in snow, they've performed very well, exceptionally well.
Okay, awesome. Now, have you had them in the snow and they
No,
didn't
I
perform
haven't
well,
been
or
in
you haven't
snow
had a
yet.
chance yet?
I just
okay.
put them on, what,
gotcha.
6-8 weeks ago, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and smart move. I mean, obviously budgets are budgets, but that's what I always say is once your tires start going, just get a new set, because at the end of the day, most likely that's going to be the failure on the trail, right?
Absolutely.
So
Plus,
it's good to have a
with
good
all the
set.
weight and we're airing down, every time you air down, it kills the tires.
Right.
They're slowly dying.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now, to get those tires in there, did you have to do? I know we're going to talk about armor in a minute, but did you have to do any trimming on the firewall for them to fit with?
I did. I trimmed. Started out with the melt mod, and that just wasn't cutting it. So I had to trim quite a bit of the inner fender out, the lower fender, and cut some of the body off where it kind of curls under at the base of the fender there.
Okay.
And that's really all I had to do for clearancing on it.
Okay. Nice. All right. Very good. Okay. So now that suspension setup, just so that everybody who's watching can be aware, that's all stuff that you can order from All Dogs Off-Road, correct?
Correct. That is all
Okay.
stuff. We did add the 650-pound front springs to accommodate for the steel plate bumper and winch.
Yep. Okay. All right. And so for anybody out there watching, All Dogs has been in the community for quite a while, a supporter of Nissans. Definitely check them out, because there's not a lot of companies left that are supporting Nissans. If you want to see the All Dogs crew in action, actually, you can check the description below. I'll put a link to the Rogue Overland Expedition 2024. They were actually on that trip with a Frontier and with a Nissan Xterra, as I recall. So check that out if you're interested to see them out there actually being in the community, not just supporting the community. So heavier springs for the armor. So why don't we jump into that category there? Tell me what we're dealing with for armor on the rig.
So I went with the Coastal Off-Road front bumper, and I have their radiator skid. Then I did the Z1 skids under, which, I mean, they bolt up perfectly to that.
Nice.
I chose aluminum. I was trying to save weight. As I began to build the truck out, I tried to be very conscious of the weight, but ultimately you're going to be fat, right? So you're on a diet for a while. The skid plates is it adds weight fast.
Oh yeah.
Adding steel skid plates. So the aluminum ones they've held up well. And if they break, they did their job.
Right.
So did the Z1 skids, white knuckle off-road sliders. Those have been fantastic. The first trip out with them, they saved us. Yes.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
I contacted Desert Runner Off-Road to prototype the rear bumper.
Ah.
So they actually used our truck to prototype their bumper for
Nice.
the third gens.
Okay.
And so far it's been really good,
Yeah.
really solid bumper.
Now your bumper, as I recall from when we were out shooting the B-roll this morning, that bumper is a bumper replacement. There's no swing outs, right? Is there a swing out
There's no
option
swing out.
for
There
them?
is not, but
Okay.
I found, I believe it's Wilco makes a weld-on swing out that I'm going to weld on the back corner here probably this winter.
Gotcha. Okay.
And, so it'll take a little bit of engineering to get it to fit, but it'll fit better than any of the things on the market right now.
Okay.
Besides, fabbing one from Coastal.
One thing in armor I think it's worth commenting on is you have these shock mount skids as well.
Yes, I did have. So we were out over New Year's, and I ripped off the left rear shock,
Nice.
And,
We were mud bogging.
we were, yes, unintentionally. Unintentionally. I made my own trail and it wasn't the best decision. But
Okay.
at the time, Nate from Desert Runner was working on my truck. He was fabbing the bumper.
Okay.
And he had just completed the bumper, and I had to bring it back so they could do some sensor work in a couple of weeks, but I needed it for our trip during New Year's.
Yeah.
So they let me take it back, and I sweet talked him into fabbing up a set of shock skids for me after ripping that off. So he welded the shock back on and beefed up the mounts and then made some skids for me.
Okay.
And he also made a rear diff skid as well,
Awesome.
which I have yet to install.
Okay.
But
But now on the diffs, you do have the ARB rear diff cover, right?
Yeah,
on
so
the
that same day, I ripped the shock mount off and peeled back the flimsy sheet stamped.
just threw your wallet right out the window.
out the window. Every time.
Tell me about the roof rack setup and the bed rack setup that you have going on.
So the roof rack is the Nismo. It's been good. It could be a little more modular.
Okay.
A lot of the racks on the market now have the double T slots in the rails.
Yeah.
This has a single, so you have to be a little more creative. I've added some extrusions between the slots to make it a little more
To give you more
modularity.
attachment points?
Yes.
Okay.
And the bed rack is an RCI. That's been great. I wish I would have gone with the aluminum one. Saved myself 20 pounds, but it does have the tonneau adapters on it, which it raises the rack 3 inches.
Okay.
But it allows any tonneau that has the rails inside the bed rails will work on it. And so it's been really good so far.
Gotcha. Yeah, and something that you kind of is being consistent here is your concern about weight, which I think is huge. A lot of people don't particularly consider that, you know, you have a half-ton truck, it can only carry whatever the payload is, and then once you go over that, really you're starting to look at unsafe conditions, at and at minimum just wearing.
Absolutely, wears everything out
Horses much faster.
I believe the on my model the payload is 1159.
Okay, right.
So there's not a lot to work with when you add us and our food and our dog and then all the gear required to do what we do.
Oh yeah, yep. One of our good friends, Danny, he's got the Nissan Xterra race truck that's kicking around and does some of the races, the desert races. But he always says when he's camping, he goes with like a backpacker's mentality and tries to think of, okay, what can I swap to something that's lighter but still do the same job?
Yeah.
That's a more difficult when you're a female too. I mean, so that's he's tried out so many different bags, and we've had to get creative. But I'm very comfortable out there, so
That's great.
I've got an entire bay of our garage full of different boxes and bags that we've gone through in the last year and a half. But you know, it's every outing we learn something new about the truck, and
ourselves.
Our build evolves every time. We come home, and the first thing I do is start trying to create a solution for whatever problem arose on that trip.
Yeah, and that's huge. I think you made a good point there. We learned something about ourselves because there's a lot of stuff on Instagram and YouTube and all of that, and you think, oh, I have to have that. No, I have to have this. But a lot of times, we all need to take a step back and say, what is it that I want out of the rig, right? And then let me try to build it to do that, not build it like somebody else built their rig. And I think that's cool that you guys are basically constantly progressing it based on what you're finding each time you go out.
Right, and we've learned to go mission specific. Where are we going? What are we doing? This is what we're going to bring.
Yeah.
I don't need to bring the kitchen sink for an overnighter.
Right. I love it.
Although we do have a sink.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and we are going to get into camping gear. Before we jump into that, though, I do want to talk about any drivetrain modifications that you've made on the rig, starting from the intake, because you got that cool snorkel there, and then just we talked about exhaust a little. So kind of run me through all that.
So the snorkel, the Z1 snorkel, the Z1 cold air intake are all I've done now. But with the weight, regearing will make a big difference. We haven't really experienced any problems. You know, there's times that we've been stopped on a 20+ degree pitch, and you know, you're going to drop into 4 low to get going. But other than that, it's been no issue.
And your transmission does okay? Haven't had any overheating issues?
No.
Awesome.
Watch that very closely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, once we did the cruise control update.
Yep.
there's been no issues out of the transmission. And actually, back to Drivetrain, I added the Flowmaster FX Extreme exhaust, which was a 30-pound savings over the OEM.
Yeah.
That made more of a difference in the transmission, not searching for gears than the update did.
Nice. Oh, wow.
Just freeing up the flow quite
Right.
a bit. Yeah.
And now that is not a header replacement, correct? That would be after the exhaust manifolds from there back?
Just a cat back with a
okay.
dump right behind the muffler.
Nice, yeah. Okay, and I'm probably laying some B-roll over that right now, but that was actually really cool. It's neat where the exhaust dumps out because you don't have to worry about it getting hung up on the trail.
Yeah, so we smashed the OEM up within a few weeks of being out on the trails. I would have to get the vice grips out and bend it back so it could flow.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was a big need. Actually, we had Nate at Desert Runner while he was doing the bumper work. He went ahead and put a dump on it for me behind the muffler, and it worked great. I went ahead and did the Flowmaster system because I was trying to save weight. But,
Okay.
I do want to add though
Yeah.
that as we've been talking about the weight a lot, is kind of a big concern for me.
Yeah.
Is I did upgrade the brakes and the rotors. I did the power stop rotors.
Oh.
And I don't even remember the Hawk green pads.
How have you liked them?
They've huge difference.
Gotcha.
I will say that I burned up my fluid after about maybe 20,000 miles.
Oh.
So it was already really black.
Yeah.
I flushed that out, added fresh fluid and the Hawk pads.
Okay.
Huge difference. But I did see all dogs with their Pathfinder R51 big brake kit.
Oh, I didn't see that yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
cool.
The R51 with the V8.
Yeah.
Those rotors will fit on the D41s.
Really?
Yeah. As well as the second gens.
Good to know. It's something that's overlooked a lot, right? Something that's overlooked a lot. I know we talked a little earlier about motorcycle, street bike racing, and a lot of people don't think about stopping. And especially with overlanders, we're adding so much weight to the rig. That's a lot more weight that has to stop.
Correct.
So your front is modified to a better setup. The rears are the factory
No,
setup?
I'm running power stop rotors on all four.
All the way around.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome. Yeah, I forget, being an old 2001 Xterra, I forget people don't have drums in the back anymore.
Only Toyota guys do.
Yeah, I know, right? The new Toyotas, oh my gosh. And how about, and this is kind of a big one, and I'd like a lot of input from you on this as well, as to things that maybe you have liked and not liked in the renditions, but break down kind of the camping thing.
Where do I start? Okay, so rooftop tent has definitely spoiled me. I can never go back to the ground. Sometimes I feel like it's glamping, and I have one of my best friends in Houston is like, "You're not camping, you're glamping," and in a way, we are. I had to have a shower. That was my thing.
Yep.
I love to be outdoors, but I also like to shower every day. So the Julka has been a must,
nice.
and it doubles as a dishwasher. So we
Right.
can wash our dishes, we take a shower.
So you like that setup then?
Yes.
Okay.
And it mounts on the side of the truck. It's you can just pack it up and you put it, and it's easy to use. Bring your propane. You have a hot shower,
Yeah.
and you don't have to go days at a time
Love
without
it.
one.
Dude wipes only go so far.
Yeah.
That's why, but they're
Oh, yeah.
dude wipes. They're not.
Chick wipes.
wipes.
Chick wipes.
So we have, we're a little different.
Gotta
Having
draw
a
the
nice
line somewhere. Yeah.
Having a nice hot shower is fantastic.
Oh,
But also
absolutely.
having hot water to do dishes when it's 30 degrees outside.
Yeah.
At 10,000 feet, that's incredible.
Putting your hands in that cold water to wash dishes when it's that cold out is not fun.
And we eat good out on the trails. We make steak.
Okay.
We always have a ribeye. That hands
All right.
down. We never miss that. So then you're not sitting and just eating freeze-dried food
Yep.
all the time. So the
What do you
jet boil.
Well, I was gonna say, what are you cooking on? So you're using a jet boil. What else are you?
So I recently bought a 20-inch cast iron griddle to put on the jet boil, which has been incredible.
Does it work?
Fantastic. So it's a two-sided. One is flat, the other side is ribbed,
Okay.
and it's been great. So
Wow.
we can make toast now on the
Oh,
griddle.
he's so
which is great.
excited
Oh,
about having toast for breakfast.
But the cleanup is much easier than trying to get the grease out of the the jet boil pans.
Yeah.
The griddle, you just pour hot water on it, wipe it off, re-oil it, and you're done. Clean up so I'm using much less water.
Nice, yeah. Wow.
I do carry the Front Runner 17.7 gallon tank.
Yes.
And that lasts us about 3.5 days.
Okay.
If we're showering every day.
Okay, yep. And is that drinking water as well?
Drinking water,
Okay.
Cooking, showering. We do carry bottled water
Yep.
as well.
Okay.
You know, the dog drinking water is, he goes through it quite fast.
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, we aren't taking 15-minute
Yeah, we're
showers.
Navy showers.
Yep, yep.
But that's still, I mean, it's, you still.
You sleep so much better.
Much better.
When you get a shower.
Oh, in the shower, the views while you're taking a shower is amazing. I mean, how many people can say they've taken a shower in Grand Staircase
Yeah, I mean,
Escalante?
we
Right.
get so remote, we just don't even use the awning anymore.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's great. I have the kick-ass, the shower base.
Yep.
Right? So we just stand on that and
Love
enjoy
it.
the view.
That's
you know?
amazing. It doesn't get much better than that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, except when you're taking a dump.
Yeah.
That's the
So you
best.
get some good views there too. Yeah, get some good views there too. Now, do you guys bring a portable toilet, or
Yeah,
do
so I have
you
the Ironman, the Bushman toilet.
like that's the one that kind of folds up,
it
right? Am I
folds
thinking
up
the right
flat.
one?
It's- yeah,
Okay.
Great one with the bag. The bags are, you know,
Yeah.
they are what they are. But
Okay.
it packs up great. It fits in one of my roof boxes.
Yep.
So it saves space in the back.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I went with that one.
And now we'll kind of jump around a little here, but yeah, kind of break down those roof boxes, because if I'm remembering right, there's 2 on the roof rack and then there's 1 on the rooftop tent, right?
Yes.
So what are you running in that? Is this like recovery gear up there, or is?
Yes, a little bit of everything. So in one, I have the Julka, the toilet, and on this trip, I have a sink that I made out of HDPE.
Yep. Okay.
So we just dropped one of those little plastic pop-out sinks in it.
Yep.
And drilled a hole to hold the Julka faucet. And
Ah, nice.
It had some little folding legs I screwed on there, so it works pretty good.
So you got rid of like the big box that
we don't
comes
have to
in,
really
and you've
carry
condensed
that.
it down.
And I'll
Yeah.
add some pictures so you can put it in your B-roll.
Sweet.
On our trip here. And then toilet paper and paper towel and stuff. And on the other one, I have our chairs, a small like coffee table,
Okay.
and recovery gear.
Yep.
You know, jumper cables, my shaker siphon,
Yep. Okay.
all that good stuff. And then we found, again, the trips are we're ever evolving after each trip.
Getting creative.
Getting creative. So I added the box on top of the tent for our clothes.
Ah. Okay.
So all
Nice.
our clothes go on that, even if we stay in a motel, because sometimes we'll do that if we're going on a very long trip to
Absolutely.
get the trails.
Yeah.
One night we'll do a hotel, and it's nice just to have everything in there. It's waterproof, it's dustproof.
What brand of box was?
Those are
was this?
Pelican. The rooftop tent is the V770.
Okay.
And the ones on the rack are the V700s.
Okay.
So those are 47 inches, and the one on the tent is 54 inches.
What fridge are you guys running? And you run that in the cab, right?
In the cab right now.
Okay.
So I have the Ice Code VL45 Pro.
Because the pup sits in the back next to the fridge. Because I noticed you built kind of like a seat delete
Yeah.
type platform.
Right.
Okay.
So that saved a lot of weight too.
Oh,
bringing
yeah.
the seats out. But I needed a platform for him.
Gotcha.
Just folding the bottom seats up wasn't enough for him. Plus, I mean, even though he's Adobe, he's tall. It's awkward for him to see out the window. And,
Yeah.
He got knocked around quite a bit, but putting that platform gave him a lot of stability.
Mm-hmm.
So we throw a big dog bed on there beside the fridge,
Nice.
and he sleeps back there too.
And you had mentioned earlier, because I know you did a little build out there, and I apologize, I can't remember the acronym, but that like plastic cutting board material, you used that and some of the extruded aluminum to build a bracket or a support for your water tank and for your auxiliary fuel, is correct?
So that's King Starboard.
Okay.
It's a marine HDPE.
HD, okay.
And so I use that, which you will probably show that now.
Oh yeah, I'll lay some B-roll over.
Use that and some extruded aluminum to build a platform for my water tank.
Okay.
And for the tailgate lining as
Yep.
well.
Okay.
And also for just a little platform to raise up my 10-gallon can.
Yep.
Just so the siphon works a little bit better.
So you're carrying 10 gallons of extra
10
fuel.
gallons, yeah. Started out with 4, and it's for as remote as we get, it's just not enough.
Yeah.
And by the time you add the weight And honestly, the coastal off-road bumper is fantastic. I love it. It looks great.
Yeah.
I think it's the steepest approach angle of anything out there, which we've tested numerous times. But it killed my mileage. I went from 24 miles per gallon to 14.
Oh yeah.
So there's no more aerodynamics on the front.
Right. I always kind of chuckle, and again, everybody's in a different spot and they're considering different things, but I always kind of chuckle when I get asked, so what's the fuel mileage? And I'm like, you probably don't want to do this
if you have to ask.
It's bad. Okay. And then the one other thing, if you could just, because I thought it was a really cool use of space, could you talk about the bracket that holds your table that's attached to the bottom side of your roof rack?
Sure. So that's a Rhino USA table mount.
Okay.
I went with the RCI rack at the time. There was not many options when I did that. And being that it's not extruded aluminum, I've had to do a little bit of engineering to get things to work. So I got some 7/8 extruded aluminum from T-Nuts. I buy a lot of stuff from them. And used that. I bolted that up to the rack and then mounted that table mount to it.
Gotcha.
So I'm able to move left and right now, which has been great.
It's a great way to just get it out of the way and also make it super accessible. If you just have a quick stop, hey, we're going to make lunch real fast, boom, table.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's great. But we also do a lot of shooting in the desert.
Yes.
So it's great to have a table to set up all of our weapons on and ammo and just go from there.
So that's a natural transition. Let's talk about the interior a little bit. And don't dive too much into the electrical just yet, because I kind of want to bunch all that together so everybody knows kind of what lighting you're running with the electrical and what your electrical looks like. But let's talk a little bit about the interior. You've got some really cool mounts for some camp security. So if you can kind of break those down for us.
So it's for a Gen 2 Tacoma, and I read in one of the comments that this guy made it fit on a Gen 2 Nissan. If he can do it, I can do it. Nice. And so ordered it and took some measurements and decided, it's doable.
Okay.
Few bends and cutting some of their brackets. It was actually a pretty easy.
Nice.
Pretty easy build.
You've got a neat bracket down by the, basically by the driver's right leg. What bracket is that? Was that for the Frontier? Or?
That's Nissan specific, and
nice.
It's from a company out of Arizona. And that was just a great way to mount my pistol holster. I don't leave my gun there when I'm not in the truck, but when I'm driving, I usually carry it in my back.
Yep.
That's not great to sit on.
No.
So I just drop it down there, and it's quick and easy access.
Okay.
When I need it, and also have an external speaker for my GMRS radio mounted to the back side of it.
Oh, nice.
And I don't think you saw that.
No, I didn't see that. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
And a bullet point mounting system on the dash.
On the dash. Okay, nice. And that's been good. Hasn't rattled out.
No, actually, that's been fantastic. I use the magnetic mounts.
Okay.
They're a little more low profile, and even with we do lots of washboards and big cliffs, and we haven't had anything fall off. I have duped the truck a time or two.
Okay.
And with the exception of the dog flying over into the front seat, nothing came off of the mount.
Yeah.
Even the rifle didn't fall off of the molly pin.
I've been there. We were talking off camera, and I've grown up with German Shepherds, and it's always an interesting moment when 100 pounds of dog ends up in the front seat with you guys or on the center console, and you're like, we're not all supposed to be up here.
He's just a surprise.
Now break down the electronics for us, because you got a really extensive setup there. And in electronics, if you could kind of wrap up also what lighting that you're running and how you've liked that.
Sure. So I started out with a kick-ass battery box with an AGM battery in it, and the battery box was great, but it's kind of big and bulky.
Yeah.
And with the fridge and the battery box, it made my dog's area too small.
Gotcha.
So I added a garage line molly panel on the back wall and bought the kick-ass control hub.
Okay.
Used a 100 amp hour LifePo 4 battery. So the LifePo weighs 25 pounds, the AGM weighs 50 pounds. So there's another 25 pounds in weight savings.
Yeah, wow.
So the battery goes underneath the platforms, out of the way, it's great. Our power-wise, we've not had any issues. I have a 100-watt panel, solar panel on the top of the tent, and we never use it.
Wow.
We've been static for several days, and I've never ran the battery down below 70%. For light, I've got a lot of lumens.
Oh, man.
A lot of lumens.
Oh, here we go.
I have diode dynamic pods, fogs, and ditch light. So I have the 30-inch M&R in the bumper and a 40-inch, it's a RC Spectrum. It's got the Osram LEDs in it.
Okay.
And for a rough country, I'm pretty brutal on those guys.
Yeah.
The light bar's amazing.
Nice.
It has so much light. I really wanted to replace it with a Diode Dynamics 40-inch, but this thing puts out so much light, I can't justify spending that money on the Diode Dynamics when this is so good.
And it's held up. You haven't had like water intrusion
No
or anything
problems,
like that.
no.
Okay.
So I did put Laminex yellow film on all the lights.
Yep.
Just because the dust and this, the times we've been in the snow, it really makes a big difference.
Oh yeah.
Having the amber lighting. I just recently added a set of Altec quad V3 lights on the bumper. Those things are retarded.
That's the two up front,
Yes,
right?
They're incredibly light. I have Diode Dynamics 6-inch light bars, 2 in the rear bumper.
Okay.
And I have a set of side shooter pods underneath the tent on top of the rack.
Yes, camp lighting.
Yes, and those. Well, they're not camp lighting as much as they are screw you Vegas driver lighting. Everyone likes to drive with the brights on. So
That's awesome.
A quick flash of those, and they remember. Oh yeah, I need to turn my brights on.
Right. Okay. All right.
So, but they do make good camp lights when you're not looking at it.
Yeah. When you're not road raging it.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of lights, like you said, a lot of lumens.
He's not done.
Yeah. Did you talk about the ditch lights?
Oh yes, so Diode Dynamic ditch lights.
He's going to add more.
I do want to add just 2 6-inch floodlights in the rack, just to get some side lighting for camp. No, that would really be used for camp lighting. I can't really.
He is right. We were setting up at night, and I thought, dang it, he is right. We need more lights. The sides of the trucks are a little dark.
My conscience here is always telling me, you don't need any more lights we can see. And then when we
I'm
go
like,
out
too
at
far,
night,
too many lumens.
and then I take her on the trail at night, and she's like, oh, that makes sense.
If you guys ever get attacked by like vampires at night, you'll be good.
Good.
Flipping on,
Yeah.
we're solid.
And then we can shoot the ones that make it through.
Okay. Now, who makes the brackets for your ditch lights? The ones that are right off of the
It's
A pillar.
Those were Z1. I had the CBI ditch lights.
Oh.
Ditch light brackets on when I bought the truck. Put those on there.
Okay.
But they're too long to work with the snorkel.
Oh, they interfere.
Yeah. So
Okay.
when you raise the hood, the CBI brackets hit the snorkel. So I bought the Z1s. They're a much shorter profile, and they work great.
Awesome. Well, that's good for people to know.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay. Is that all for lighting? Did we get
Is
it
that
all?
all for lighting? Yeah. I guess I am running a OVS Scar 10S winch in the bumper as well.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Yep. Now, are you running synthetic?
Synthetic, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's a huge weight savings there
Huge,
too. Right.
yeah.
So you seem like somebody that thinks through things and is pretty prepared for all vampire attacks and such things. So tell me, what do you carry on the trail when we're talking about any spare parts, tools, things like that?
Everything is mission specific.
Okay.
I do have an extensive tool bag. I have 2 large tool roll-offs in the garage, and anytime I work on the truck, I use what's in my tool bag.
Yes.
If I'm missing something, I grab it out of the roll-off and I put it in the tool bag. So I exclusively only work on what I carry in my bag.
Yeah, I don't want to break your train of thought, but for everybody out there, that's huge. Everybody, even us guys that turn our own wrenches, we think, oh, I always work on it. I got this, I got that, I'm good. But anything that you're grabbing out of your tool chest when you're working on the truck in the garage isn't going to be there when you're on the trail. So I do the same thing. I work on the rigs out of the kit that I carry on the trail to make sure anything I need to get into, I have with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's key. It's a little more inconvenient working on it at home out of the tool bag.
Right.
But it ensures that on the trip you have what you need.
Yeah. Okay, so toolkit, and then what else are you carrying?
So
Any spare
sometimes I'll
parts?
carry some spare fluids.
Okay.
The truck is new, right? I think right now I've got 32,000 miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
But There's no need to carry extra CVs at this point, I don't believe.
Okay.
But that would depend on where we're going to. So
Right.
if I'm going to a place where I know I'm going to do a lot of spinning on the front, I'll probably carry an extra CV or two.
Gotcha.
I'll carry some extra fluids. I usually carry quite a few extra bolts because things tend to rattle out on these washboard roads.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the biggest thing.
Gotcha.
You know, I do carry a 12-volt ratchet.
Nice.
I'm sorry, it's 20 volt now, whatever the cordless ratchets are.
Yeah.
And an impact wrench.
Okay.
So, you know, it makes trail repairs easier, switching tires.
Oh yeah.
And I carry a tire repair kit and a sidewall repair kit with me.
Nice.
That's just permanent fixture of the truck.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll be able to get back on the trail.
How about any future plans for the build? I know you talked a little bit about that, so if you can kind of reiterate and tell us anything that you've kind of got on the agenda for this going forward.
Yeah, so I really have been looking at the canopy campers closely, and the dirt box overland and the Lone Peak campers have really, I'm torn between the two.
Yeah.
I've rolled out the Alu cab. It's a great system, but it's very heavy.
Yeah.
So I believe the dirt box and the Lone Peak are about 300 pounds,
Nice.
which is roughly what my tent and rack weigh. So I think that'll make camping for us much easier.
Absolutely.
And a tire swing. Really,
Yeah.
that's the only two things left to add. I mean, there's always going to be more.
It
Little
never
gadgets,
ends.
It never ends.
Yeah.
right?
It will
But-
never
It
end.
never ends. It's such a cool build. We talked about what it has, what it's gonna have. We talked about what it's like kind of living out of it. What I would like to know now is just a little more about you guys, and maybe we can each, give the opinion, or maybe it's the same place. I don't know, but what areas do you guys really, like when you look back, have you been to where you're like, that was such an amazing place to be. I love adventuring in that area.
I'll let you start.
And well, so sometimes the trails and the camping won't be the same. So you may
True.
like trails, but you may like the trails, but not the area to camp.
So give us both. What's your favorite trail you've been on, and what's your favorite area to camp?
So the trails, where were we in Tahoe?
Genoa Peak and the Iceberg Wilderness, which is just south of Tahoe.
The
Ridge.
trails
Yeah.
were amazing there. It felt like going through a rainforest. Because it was during a storm, but you're just like a mountain rainforest. It was amazing. The trails were great. I didn't enjoy camping as much in Tahoe.
Okay.
It was a little too wet and bugs.
We were
and
at 10,000 feet and it was rainy and cold.
it didn't have the proper clothes, so that I would give it another chance. I would give it another
Now,
chance.
it was July 4th weekend last
No,
year. So
Labor Day.
was it Labor Day? Yeah,
Yes.
we weren't prepared for that. We were
It was
coming
like
out of
40
Vegas
degrees.
And, 150
Yeah.
degrees here. And,
Wow.
The propane quit working.
At 10,000 feet, our propane was not working.
That's right. There is
Yeah.
kind of like an altitude level where those heaters don't function super well, right?
Yeah.
But
well,
loved
no,
the trails.
We didn't have the diesel heater then.
Oh.
We didn't.
We had a propane fire pit.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I was a little grumpy, but the trails were amazing.
Okay.
And I got over that quick. But Grand Staircase Escalante, I think that is a little bit of heaven for me. And
Yeah.
it's so massive that we've been two times,
Two times.
and we haven't. I don't feel like we've even scratched the
Yeah.
surface, but the trails are amazing there, and every area is different.
Yeah.
Like it's
So expansive
diverse.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Beaver Dam, loved Beaver Dam.
Okay.
Gold Butte.
Nice.
We've been to a lot of. I mean, I love Death Valley. Actually, Death Valley is amazing, and
It's a great one.
Coming from Texas, I imagined desolate,
Oh.
plain. I thought Death Valley would be very ugly. It is spectacular.
Beautiful out there.
Yes.
We live just
Beautiful.
outside of Death Valley, so we're there a lot.
Oh,
Just quick day trips.
Yeah.
Even just hiking in the morning, we'll wake up and go hike, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So how about you, Tim? What are your kind of favorites?
Grand Staircase is definitely one of them. I like technical trails, but not all the time. You know,
Okay.
Epic campsites are great, and if you want to get to those, it's never going to be easy to get there.
No.
right? So the best stuff in life is always the hardest to get to.
The trails that have beat the truck up the most, it's always been, oh my gosh, but we're never coming back up that again, so let's enjoy this.
Right.
So Grand Staircase, definitely.
Okay.
Tahoe was great. Death Valley, I really enjoyed Death Valley a lot. And it's probably not the most eye-pleasing place, but Death Valley is such a special, it's just got its own beauty. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Great Basin, really like Great Basin. We were there Memorial Day for a very long weekend, right during the super bloom.
Oh, nice.
And
Was that 4th of July?
Wow, must have been
No,
amazing.
I don't know. We
I know.
so many places hard to remember. But the super bloom in Great Basin was just breathtaking. We thought we were looking at bodies of water, and we were a couple miles away on the mountains. And
It
they were
was
just all flowers.
flowers? Wow.
Yeah.
Where there was that orange flower too. We thought it was red sand, and as we came up, it was just a massive field. And we cannot remember the name of this flower. I mean, it was insane.
Wow. Okay.
Great Basin is beautiful.
Great Basin is incredible. Ruby Mountains.
I have yet to get to really explore up there, but I've had people tell me it's
So Green
amazing.
Mountain is just south of Ruby Mountain. It has some incredible trails. The problem with that area, we used Trails Off-Road and Gaia to navigate with.
Yep.
And
Good.
Trails Off-Road is great, but they don't have a lot of trails in those areas mapped.
Right.
And Gaia shows a trail, but is it a trail? Is it a trail for a truck? Or for a side-by-side?
Does it turn into a little goat track?
I do a lot of research before our trips.
Yeah.
And it's a crapshoot sometimes on these trails. You know, there's been some we've got down and I thought, oh God, I don't know how we're going to get out of this. Other than go home and spend the next weekend waxing out all the pinstriping. And there's been a few of those.
Great Basin had that.
Great Basin had a lot of that. And unfortunately, those trails, there's a lot of info on the trails as far as where they're at, but nothing in trail descriptions.
Like conditions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I understand conditions change, but
Yep.
Pony Express Trail was.
That was neat.
We did the northern half of the Nevada BDR recently,
Oh,
and
nice.
that was great. Some of the trails were very good, some not. Going
Okay.
through a lot of pastures.
Yeah.
But the Pony Express
And
Trail
gates
got
and
really
pastures,
tight.
yeah.
A lot of pinstriping there.
Yeah.
But I really love Ruby Mountains, and I'll be happy to share some good trails that we found that are great
Yeah.
for a vehicle to go up on Green Mountain is
Yeah.
amazing. Some of the best camping.
That would be awesome. It's interesting what you say about the Pony Express, because Mike with the 4Runner, he always says that's the trail that just destroyed his paint because they got to sections that were so overgrown,
Yeah.
and like sometimes the only way is through.
Yeah, great.
You
We
know?
found the same thing in Great Basin too, and it was probably, I would say, 20 miles of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was bad. I was like, just let somebody life
And-
flight
and,
us out of
yeah,
here.
you're not going to turn around on this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's been times we've Gold Point is another incredible area. It's
Oh, don't tell that secret.
yeah. I was
Never.
telling that secret.
We love Gold Point, actually. Yeah,
It is
it's got
incredible.
some
We-
good
that's
stuff.
that's
Yeah.
close to home, so that's usually our quick overnight getaways.
Have you stopped in at the saloon there?
Oh, yeah, many times.
Yeah. What is
Had
it?
some homemade
Walt,
moonshine.
right? Walt.
Yeah,
Walt.
Walt.
Yeah. And you can still see. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's always, it's always the homemade stuff is always.
You never. I didn't know.
I
if
was
it
willing to take that
We'll
risk.
see.
Was that prison moonshine made in the toilet? I didn't know.
Toilet wine. Anything else that you want to add? Anything we missed, or anywhere you guys want people to be able to find you online? I know you're not real big on social media, so that it's totally fine if you don't.
Yeah,
but some
I'm not
people.
a social media guy,
Okay.
but
Well, it started off just showing my friends back in Texas our adventures, and
Okay.
I don't think we ever thought we'd be sitting here with you talking about this amazing build. So you just never know where life will
It's true.
take you. I mean, he's
Yeah.
done an amazing job.
yeah, I'm overzealous.
Okay, yeah.
There's something you can always do to make something better, right?
Oh, for sure.
So I try to outdo myself on this, and
Yep.
I really appreciate you noticing it and
Yeah.
having us here today. It's been incredible.
Well, thank you for being here, and I think that's something that kind of rings true through this whole thing is that, the builds are never really done. They just evolve.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed this video, please consider smashing that like button, sharing the video with your friends. You can check out our other videos. We have other rig walk around videos, adventure videos, trail review videos, and gear review videos. You can also check out the Rogue Overland Adventure Chat podcast, where Mike and I talk about all things adventure. We'll see you on the trail. Copyright Rogue Overland 2024, all rights reserved.